Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our entitled people. In today's episode, had my wife served for divorce since she sided with her key-stealing entitled mother? Karen tells me I'm enabling a homeless man. Entitled mom and kids ruins former mayor's funeral. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Had my wife served for divorce since she sided with her key-stealing entitled mother? Just because I found the thought of it humorous, I'll be referring to my wife as wifey a lot from now on. Also, I know I seem like I'm posting too fast. But remember, this originally started around 10 days ago, and I've not wasted time in getting the divorce started. I also apologize for the length of this post, as I could not keep it short. It really didn't take me long to find and hire a divorce lawyer. And she's mean. Yes, my lawyer is a woman. And she seems pretty good at her job. She asked me a couple of times if I was really sure I wanted to do this. But once I explained my full story to her and showed some evidence, she agreed with me when I said I wanted to start ASAP. So she got the ball rolling. Oh, this divorce is going to cost me. But I don't care. I'll rebuild my savings later as a free man. I didn't even want to rent the house I'm currently living in anyway. Wifey pushed for that. I'd have been happy staying in our old apartment we used to share until we could have actually afforded to buy a house together instead. But that's obviously never happening. I'll be paying a lot less for an apartment once we separate. Before coming home, wifey spent some time at a cheap motel when she bailed her mother out of jail. And she even threatened to call police on me when I went to see her there. I changed the locks with my landlord's permission while wifey was still away, and sent her a text saying I'd done so. But I guess she'd not bothered to look since she never responded. So upon returning home, she ended up pounding on the door and screaming at me to let her in. I just watched her through the doorbell cam and let her keep it up for a while before she finally got on her phone to call me. I was already walking home from having had dinner with my best friend when she called, and I pointed out the text she'd not bothered to read. When I got home to let her in, she was puffy-cheeked, teary-eyed, and red with a bit of catbutt face. I had a new key ready for her, and told her if she gave a copy to her mother again, I'd be notifying our landlord, as they were already very angry she'd given her mother a key to begin with. Not sure what the landlord could have done. But it was enough to make wifey comply for the moment. Plus, I'm not gonna be living here much longer anyway. My MIL still believes she did absolutely nothing wrong, and is playing victim to wifey every chance she gets. She's not allowed over anymore, for obvious reasons. And I've been repeatedly called a monster by her and wifey. I've never been more glad that MIL has no friends, because then she'd be telling them all her convoluted version of the story to paint me as a villain. I just know it. She was told how much my key collection is roughly worth, and what kind of felony charges she could be facing. Though my collection was returned fully intact. So she may get the charges lessened. I'd like to hope she gets a decent punishment at least. But I'm not really counting on the system to throw the book at a manipulator like her. As I said in my previous post, wifey also paid her mother's bail and what she owed to the pawn shop with money out of our joint bank account, and then smugly told me that she wouldn't be putting the money back. Basically, that was a terrible power move, and her only way to try and put all the cost on me. I've since removed everything I had in that account, and stopped all future payments to it so she can't spend my money too. And I've changed my passwords to pretty much everything. Wifey flipped the hell out on me for it once she finally checked the account a couple days ago, because that meant that what she paid for MIL's bail and reimbursing the pawn shop was all in her money only. And now there was no more access to my funds to supplement her own with. I just ignored her tantrum and went into the home office to watch anime on my computer. She banged on the door for a while demanding I talk to her. I just stayed quiet and put on headphones. Wifey has repeatedly demanded I drop all charges against her mother, and even said that if I really loved her, I would not only stop all this, I'd cover the cost too. When I kept refusing, she moved into the spare bedroom. She tried to kick me out of the master bedroom first. But I made it clear I'm not giving up the master bedroom when she's the one at fault. She tried to start taking my stuff out, but I just blocked her while pointing my finger at her face and said no, like I was talking to a dog. She ended up crying and saying I was demeaning her. But I didn't care. Then, for some more deception on her part, she admitted to me out of pure spite that until this mess had started, she'd been planning on letting her mother come live with us full-time soon because of the state of her hoarder house. She boasted that she was just gonna move her in while I was at work. I told her we were supposed to be equal partners before this all happened. And I was sick of her unilateral decision-making. And as long as I'm paying 50% of the lease, her mother will not be living here. And if she tried, I'd throw all her mother's stuff out immediately. Wifey looked like she wanted to explode, and stormed off to have a drink and a loud phone call with her mother in the kitchen. I just started removing her stuff from the master bedroom and left it in the other room for her. I've put a new lock on the door to the master bedroom too. I had wifey served at her job, which she said really embarrassed her in front of her colleagues. And she flipped out on me again once she got home. Apparently she didn't take my threats of divorce seriously until those papers were actually in her hands. She said I couldn't do this. But I told her I was done. She made it more than clear where she stands. I told her I learned a rather interesting phrase online. When people show you who they really are, believe them. And she's clearly shown me who she really is. And it's not the woman I fell in love with. That woman disappeared and got replaced with an entitled mommy's girl who refuses to act her age right after we got married. Which makes it pretty obvious she did that intentionally. At this point, I don't think she ever loved me. Just my wallet. I can't stay married to a woman who conned me into marrying her. Then she started screaming at me that she wasn't a gold digger. So I asked her if she'd have been inclined to stay married to me if I'd done the all same things to her. She tried to deny it at first, then looked around like she was trying to find a better answer. Then she just gaslit to deflect as usual. But I had none of it. I told her right then and there that I'm not renewing the lease on the house with her because I don't want to live with a petulant woman-child I can't trust. And if she wants to keep the house, she can go ahead and start a new lease to move her mother in once I'm gone. Finally, that's when the real waterworks started. She said I was destroying our family. And I said, what family, and pointed out how we don't have kids, and her mother is more important to her than me. We have no family. Then I just walked away. She loudly cried in the living room for hours, but I ignored her. Now she's giving me the hardcore silent treatment, and won't look me in the eyes. I'm actually enjoying it. Which just seems to make her angrier. As an added bonus, I warned my current landlord about wifey wanting to move her mother in. I gave him all the details I had about Mael, the state of her hoarder house, and how much of a deceptive mommy's girl wifey is. And warned him that if he let my MIL live in any property he owns, she would turn it into an utter disaster. He thanked me for telling him, and is now not going to let wifey renew the lease on her own if she tries. He'll be advertising the property soon. Wifey has no idea yet, and likely would have only just barely been able to afford the house with her mother's help anyway. One more thing. Yesterday someone warned me to take my name off the joint bank account entirely so I would not be on the hook for any overdraft. I took that to heart and went to the bank to get it done. Only took a few minutes to do it, and the bank is 10 minutes away by car. All good now. I've been working from home lately, so I had the time. All statements from the account were already printed and given to my lawyer too. So I can wash my hands of it. Edit, I don't know if it's the same rules everywhere. But the bank had no problem removing my name from the account as a cosigner when I pushed for it. There were no debts on the account, and had plenty more than the minimum balance. The bank likely did tell wifey. But whether or not she knows I did it, it does not matter as she's currently not talking to me. One additional action you might want to take is to freeze your credit with the credit reporting agencies. Don't leave an opportunity for your credit to be damaged by others' actions. I think he said in another post that he did that already. I've been following this poor guy's saga. He has other posts. I can kind of relate to you. My ex told me after the divorce that she only married me because she knew I would be making good money. It took over 30 years before I would even talk with her. Kind of over it now, but it took a long time. Happily been together with my new wife now for many years, and we will be together until death do us part. I can't wait to hear the sob story she tries to tell the judge. That'll be months from now. But with all the evidence I have, she'll only make things worse if she lies. She's a brat, but pretty career-oriented. So war with me really isn't a good idea. Karen tells me I'm enabling a homeless man. So, we have our fair share of homeless people in my town. The usual ones at the end of exit ramps with signs, or at the lights of highways. Usually, I don't give anything, because realistically, usually don't have anything to give. But yesterday, I'd had a decent day and actually found myself with a couple of bucks on hand. I see one particular man at a freeway light often, and I know some of his story. He does use any money collected to purchase food, drink, not alcohol that I've seen, and will accept items graciously, not just cash. So I pull up to the light, wave him over and hand him the $4 I had. He thanks me, and happens to walk across the intersection to the same gas station I heading to in the first place. I go in to get gas, he grabs some of the hot food and a cheap fountain drink. All good, right? Nope. In comes Karen. The typical look and everything. Big sunglasses, the haircut, yoga pants, all of it. She immediately storms over to the register and demands a manager. I'm only mildly paying attention, 'cause I just need gas. Manager comes forward and this woman points that ugly-ass orange/red long nail at me. I need police here. That woman gave that drug addict money outside your establishment and a slew of other really random and ever-growing nonsense. At this point, the three other customers, me, the man I helped and now a very interested customer are staring at her. Manager looks so confused. So I chimed in. I said regardless that it isn't her business, I gave the guy a few bucks across the street, and he's buying food. Manager is like, okay. Karen isn't happy. She is screaming that obviously the station is a front for drugs, and all sorts of crazy shiz. At this point, I've lost interest. Man buys his food, walks out. I get to register, ask for gas. Is Karen done? Haha, no. She demands that if I'm going to pay for his drugs, then I need to buy her gas. She tells the cashier and manager to put I think like 40 on whatever pump she was at, on my dime, and storms out. We all just blink. I chuckled a bit and told them how much gas I needed. I was going to just ignore it, but I'm petty. I said put $1 on her pump. Her screaming when the pump stopped at $1 was beautiful. I got my gas and left, while she was storming back into the station. Best dollar I've ever wasted. And glad she didn't actually harass the poor guy just trying to eat. Karen in the lot, no big deal. Karen spewing at the C-store cashier, mildly annoying. Giving her $1's worth of gas, priceless. Exactly. I can only imagine the smug look on her face when the pump turned on, only to shut off after $1. Most amazing thing I've heard in a long time. Thank you for the smile. You're very welcome. It made my day, and I'm still smiling today. Especially because it ended in two good deeds. A man just trying to get by, got a meal and probably a chuckle, and an entitled TCH got a lesson. Doubt she learned from it, but it was funny for the rest of us nonetheless. Wasted? Best laugh you could get for $1. That whole dramatic episode was the shock and awe to get you baffled and cowed to pay for the gas. The lengths some people will go to are ridiculous. Entitled Mom and Kids Ruins Former Mayor's Funeral. Hey people of Reddit, with me being at home due to quarantine, I thought of this story from my childhood. This happened in 2006, so it was several years ago. Background: I lived in a small town around 3,000 people. For the most part everyone got along with each other except for this awful family we'll call the Wyatts. The Wyatts were a family of 4. The entitled mom and dad, entitled boy who was around 9, and entitled teen who was 14. The dad was nice though, but he always looked like he hated his family. So we'll call him Nice Dad. So, the former mayor of our town had died. This struck the community hard as he was a very kind old man and was very active in the community. In my town there are some things that you don't skip, such as funerals, so everyone going to pay their respects was almost expected. The funeral service had large turnout. It looked like most of the town came. Everyone was wearing black and had proper clothes on except our entitled mom and teen. The mom wore a blue dress that's more suited for clubbing than a funeral. Entitled teen was wearing a black belly shirt and shorts that right on up your butt like Daisy Duke shorts. The entitled boy was playing his Game Boy at the funeral. And to top it all they came late. About a half hour in, I remember things were going good. The entitled teen, she said with excitement. "E.T., Mom. Blake just texted me if I want to come over." "EMC. I told you he liked you." They were talking about boys and other things for a while. Everyone was looking at them. People were shushing them to make it obvious that they were being rude. When the Reverend came and delivered the opening prayer, they became quiet. When the mayor's widow gave the eulogy, entitled teen was still on her phone texting. The entitled boy later said, "EB, Mom, this is boring. When can we go? When can we go?" At that moment everyone just turned to them and gave them the stink eye. When people turned back, people in the back of her were still looking at her funny. When the viewing ended, everyone started to walk to the cemetery and the mayor was carried by the sheriff's deputies. At the lady at the back is still giving her the stink eye. The following proceeds. You got a problem. Lady: yeah, you are being very rude. My godfather deserves more respect than this. If we're going to be rude, why did you come? Whatever. Entitled mom then bumps into the lady on purpose and leaves to walk with the others to the cemetery. The casket was put in the ground and people were putting a white flower on the casket in the ground to pay respects. But at this time the kid's Game Boy dies. He screamed, "EB, Mom. My Game Boy died, need batteries. Gimme batteries." The mom looked in her purse and had none. The kid started bawling and started jumping up and down while waving his arms. But he accidentally let go of the Game Boy and it fell in the grave. Everyone just gasped and in disbelief. The entitled boy said, "EB, Daddy. Go get it." The mayor's widow asks her to get her son under control or go somewhere that isn't here. No. Not until I get my son's game. The widow, who was now crying, said, "They would have to take my husband out of the ground to get it, so it's not happening." Her son starts throwing a tantrum. Look at what you did. You child hater." Entitled mom the petty jabs the mayor's widow and she steps back. People weren't having it and rushed over to her. The widow's son asked entitled mom to get her children and leave. She said she wouldn't. The sheriff, they said, "You can leave of your own free will or in cop car." So they left, but the dad stayed. What I think is messed up, but also funny, is the kid's Game Boy and the former mayor are going to spend the rest of eternity with each other. Thanks for reading, everyone. So disrespectful. Hope when she has a funeral at least one person isn't respectful to hers. No good. She'd be too dead to notice. If the ET didn't improve, just make sure another entitled family was at her wedding or something. Hell, the way she behaved, I hope the whole town uses her corpse as a piñata. Hope the mayor has fun playing on the Game Boy. Ah, karma is funny. Now EK doesn't have to worry about batteries and the mayor has a new toy to play for eternity. Think of the fun future archaeologists will have. Mortal Kombat was buried with the leaders to demonstrate their belief in the eternal battle for the soul. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.